Right now, I don't know about you, but I'm sat here twiddling my thumbs until the next character role drops for Red Dead Online. In the meantime, I thought I'd take a look back at each role and give it a review. If you didn't see it already, I did this for the Moonshiner role a while ago too, so in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Bounty Hunter role in full. I feel like the last structure worked well for the review, so again, I'll be breaking the role down into 3 sections and giving each element a rating out of 10. At the end of this, I'll get the average score to give a final marking out of 10. Despite the fact there are still bugs and some other issues with this role, I'm going to put those to one side for this review. We all know the problems with this game and you don't need me to go through them once again. So let's get to the first section, gameplay. The character roles created huge excitement among the Red Dead Online community when they got announced, with the Bounty Hunter arguably being the most anticipated out of the lot. This was mainly due to the gameplay teasers seemingly being close to traditional Red Dead Redemption gameplay that we're used to, essentially scrapping with Wild West outlaws. And also it's in the name, Bounty Hunter, that's going out and catching bad guys. Many people ran straight for this role when it was released, and yeah, it was pretty much what we thought it was going to be. But unfortunately, the gameplay for me became quickly repetitive. Go to the bounty board, choose a poster, ride to the target, catch or kill the target, bring the target into custody, repeat. Now yes, you might be able to take a couple of the target's mates down too in a gunfight and take part in some slight variations in the missions, but overall, it is quite boring in my opinion. In addition to this, the reward for each bounty is pretty small. There's no real incentive to do the bounties when you have other activities in the game that not only give you more cash, but also give you more XP. One thing the Bounty Hunter does though, it does give a relatively reasonable gold reward when you're comparing it to other methods in the game of earning gold. Now if I'd done this review as soon as the role came out, I'd probably have rated it differently, but the introduction of the legendary bounties in my opinion was quality. These bounties were introduced to the game one at a time, once a week. Each of the bounties had difficulties as well, with the first play of the mission being 1 star, which was the easiest. Then after you complete the first, you progress to the next 2-star replay of that mission, all the way up to the 5-star difficulty. The reward for these missions is particularly good as well at the 5-star difficulty, and by the time you reach this level, you'll find that you've basically trained yourself up to this moment from the previous 4 levels. So although you're playing the exact same mission, it does get more difficult and offer better rewards, which increases the replayability of the mission itself. Rockstar drip feeding this content as well over 10 weeks was also a very good idea, as it kept the player base somewhat happy with something new to do every week. The missions themselves do vary a bit with the type of bounty that you're chasing, ranging from a lonely old man surrounding himself with wolves to taking down Red Ben Clemson, the leader of a gang of train robbers. With the legendary bounties being added to the game, but the core bounty hunting gameplay being quite repetitive and sometimes dull, I think a 6 out of 10 is a fair score, as I do enjoy the gunfights that are common with the progression of this role. Pre-legendary bounties, I'd definitely have given the gameplay a lower score than 7. Rockstar targeting their efforts on this role was very well received for me personally. During this video too, if you've got different marks for each section, then let me know below. So the next section is Unlockables. As I explained in my first role review, with every character role so far released in Red Dead Online, you're able to make your way through 20 levels of progression. With each level comes an unlock, and the Bounty Hunter role has 44 unlockables as you move through the role ranks. As in every role, these are split into 2 sections. The upper section here is automatically unlocked as you make your way through the levels, and this section contains the less exciting stuff really. The bottom section is where the best stuff is, and these are unlocked as soon as you reach the lowest rank within the section shown. For example, as soon as you hit level 5 as a bounty hunter, you can unlock everything in the promising kit using tokens, but each item in the upper section has a specific level to unlock. Keep in mind though that despite the fact you can unlock some of these items with role tokens, you still have to buy them with cash in game. Reviewing the items here, I actually think they're pretty good. Obviously some are better than others, but the most notable ones for me are the unlocks that have an impact outside of just the activities within the role. This is where the Moonshiner unlocks fell down for me. I know it may sound like a minor one, but Eagle Eye Plus that is available at level 7 of the Bounty Hunter is probably my favourite unlock of the bunch. This skill allows you to enable Eagle Eye without being forced into walking only. I'm always going to speak positively about changes to the game that speed up the overall gameplay, and this is definitely one of those times. Actually, come to think of it, they really could have just changed the game in general to incorporate this, but they've packaged it up here within one of the roles, which is quite clever to be fair. As I've said, I like unlocks within one role that have some crossover uses in others. Eagle Eye Plus goes beyond just being useful for the bounty hunter and makes the collector role even easier. It really speeds up the gameplay of the collector as it increases how fast you can find collectibles using Eagle Eye. You're not being kicked back into a slow walk every time you engage the skill. As well as this unlock, there are several others that are pretty useful as well. The reinforced lasso being harder to break out of for targets, as well as ducking on horseback, which makes you a more difficult target to hit when you're in a gunfight. Both of these have their uses in the game in general, as well as being handy to have as a bounty hunter. The bow lass unlock is cool, it's not massively useful in my eyes. This is the same really for the bounty wagon, which you can call in to put more bounty targets in the back for certain missions. But really, it easily could have been something that you just spawn into the mission with, like the Moonshiner and Hunter starting delivery wagons. The cosmetic unlocks are some of the best looking for the character roles in Red Dead Online, and the gunflip emotes are a cool little addition as well. Overall, I'd give the unlocks for this role an 8 out of 10. Quite a high score, I know. If you disagree with that, then I'm sure you're going to let me know. Moving on now to our final category, originality. As I said in my Moonshiner review, originality is something that's quite difficult to add to a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, especially as the game is set in a time with limited technology and the fact that Rockstar try to keep the game remaining as historically accurate as possible. I know a lot can be said about whether anything is truly original these days, but I think it's best not to go down that rabbit hole or we could be here all day. The bounty hunter role plays on traditional gameplay of Red Dead Redemption. There's someone you need to catch or kill, which is often the case in Rockstar games, and you go and do that. How the developers dress this activity up does vary a lot. I think this is one thing that Rockstar have over many other developers. Their ability to create unique, engaging content in a lot of ways is second to none. I think for the sake of reviewing this role, you have to compare the originality of this role against other activities we see in the game. In terms of that, it's pretty lacking. We see this sort of gameplay all the time, and although it's a well-loved type of gameplay and what Red Dead players come to expect, there's only so far you can go with it to make it stand out against the rest. As I've mentioned before, the introduction of legendary bounties went a long way to improving this role as a whole, and I think this is again the case here. When these bounties were announced, I was expecting each of them to be pretty similar, to be fair, catching the leader of a gang and having to fight through that gang to get to that leader. In actual fact, there's some really interesting missions in the set of 10 legendary bounties here. A very notable one for me was the Philip Carlier mission that saw you try to track down the target who had been living in a swamp, going more and more mental the longer he'd been in there. I thought this one was going to be a simple one. You go in there, you catch him, and then you take him back to the station. But in a cutscene, he knocks you out by chucking some shit in a pot. You then find yourself in the middle of a field, off your nut on bath salts, with giant animals all around you. In amongst these giant animals is scabby old Philip running at you with a machete, and you've got to do what you have to do.
Deal with Philip. Sorry, Philip.
It's unique missions like this that I was hoping Rockstar would bring to Red Dead Online a lot more, and this one didn't disappoint despite being quite short. Even though there are bounty missions like the one I just discussed, the bounty hunter role still lacks originality for me. For this category, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. So that's the final mark of the 3, which we can now pull an average from. It was 6 for gameplay, 8 for unlockables, and 5 for originality. That gives us an average of 6.333 recurring, it goes on. So let's round that to an overall mark of 6.5. 6.5 out of 10 isn't great, but it could be a lot worse, to be fair. If you're interested in finding out what I rated the Moonshiner out of 10, then click the video on screen now. A little spoiler alert, it was very close between these roles as to which one I preferred. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more like this in the future, as well as some content from other games. I'm JmCooKie, cheers.